essentially what you're doing is you're opening up your heart and soul and you're exposing it to somebody else. Greetings. I'm Jonathan Egwitz, and this is Discussions. I'm going to propose a perspective for you guys to think about, and I want people, dating coaches, psychologists, therapists, people who feel they have a strong opinion, to propose your responses and discussions. The intent is to get people to start talking about dating, relationships, love, self-discovery, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. We're going to open up the first episode of Discussions with one of the things and perspectives that I feel seems to be really unique to myself, of my opinion and perspective of how to see this. And this is the way I see dating, and this is the way I'm building the Start With Me dating app and Start With Us, the relationship app, Start With Them, the relationship app, having children dynamics, and then Flavor of Teal, the relationship app aimed at the sexual side of relationships, comes from this foundational perspective that I really want everyone to adopt, right? So this is a sense of how to think about handling and working with other people when it comes to love. It's a perspective that I don't see a lot of people sharing, and it has been very profoundly useful for me when it comes to finding an empathetic perspective, when it comes to meeting with people or talking and learning about them and all of that stuff. And the perspective I want you to think about or take in is when you're meeting somebody in dating, what you're doing, you don't realize it if you don't think about it, but what you're essentially doing is you're exposing your soul to people. Even in online dating profiles, even in online dating conversations, even though they're short, small conversations, essentially what you're doing is you're opening up your heart and soul and you're exposing it to somebody else, and you're saying, look at me. Here's my personality. Here's who I am. This life experience and total accumulation of knowledge and experiences, the good and the bad, these all have accumulated into what my current flavor is. This is my flavor of me. And you're opening your heart up to these people. You're opening up your soul, and you're saying, look at this. Can my flame burn with your flame? Or would they extinguish each other? Or would they burn each other brighter? Or would they do nothing? And you're essentially going around asking people, hey, I want to know if there's a chance that we can burn our souls brighter and fall deep in love and have a beautiful relationship. And it's a perspective that's nurturing and opening, because if you really think about it, this is what you're doing to everyone and they're doing it to you. So every new connection you're forming, you're opening up a thread, and you're walking up to somebody and you're opening up and saying, look in my soul. This is who I am. Do you think this is something that would fit in your life, that you would want to spend every day with? And in exchange, they're doing the same thing to you. And this is the thing that I think a lot of people don't really pay attention to when they're out dating on these dating apps and they're making these new connections, is they're opening up their soul to people. And I know it sounds a little like foofy, but the reality is this is what essentially you're doing. You know, the interactions may be short and shallow, but you're still going, look at my soul. Is this enough? Right? And we're learning, and what we have learned in the past through our dating experiences, whether good or bad, is we've learned how much to open up and expose in order to get an idea of how we fit with other people. And that's a perspective I really want to push. It's a narrative I want to push across all of these apps, a concept that I want to really become a common thought, because, you know, we need to handle each other better. We just simply do. We're going around trying to find someone to love for the rest of our lives. And we're over here opening up and exposing to people carelessly We're starting new connections. We're never ending some of them. We're moving on to new ones. We're having multiple at a time. Like, the dating structure and practice you choose to emphasize or utilize in your relationship building world is your choice. And we will have other discussion points of talking about this stuff. But it's a concept I want you to take into consideration, that every connection you're making is you exposing your soul to another human's soul. You know, whether you see one in there or not, the reality is this is what you're doing. Take into consideration that you're opening up to these people and you're exposing not the raw sense of you. And this is why a lot of people are closed off. And this is why people have relationship issues and connection issues. And this is why people end connections in the short, because the idea of telling somebody else the deep down inside, like, hey, I don't want to carry this conversation on with you. Like, I have no interest. I feel no spark. My flame doesn't burn hotter. It burns duller, or it doesn't burn differently at all. Like, we'd make good friends. The concept is to just consider this stuff and to bring it into your own world and think about this every time you interact with another human being, especially in dating.